Don't miss me now, okay? Hey, Marie.
Welcome. I think it's great that you're doing what all of us as Americans should be doing at this point in our history, which is to show up, stand out, show up, speak out, and end violence. I'm going to first have one of our young people here, and the number of young people we're getting to these events are growing, but we have two stellar young people that are going to help with the bullhorn, which is good for older voices. But Stella has a message she would like to make just now before we get started on the introductions.
Hello, I've never used a microphone before, so if I'm talking too loudly or too softly, don't blame me. My name is Resident Young Person number 2, also known as Stella. I am here to encourage you to please vote for your local Democrats who are running for office. And to please volunteer for them too. We just got past the primaries, which were on June 7th. Me and a bunch of other poll workers worked for 15 and a half hours on Tuesday. It was exhausting. But to keep it short, please feel free to look up who is running for what, where you live. If you live here in Idllywild or in surrounding areas in the desert, please consider volunteering for Will Rollins, who is running for Congress in California's 41st District, or Christy Holstich, who is running for State Assembly in the 47th District, or Brian Nash, who is running for State Senate in the 32nd District, and a bunch of wonderful others. Hopefully Burke Stronsky, if he manages to pull through, though we don't know. Votes are still being counted. Anyway, if you have any questions about how volunteering works, please ask me. I've been doing a lot of it over this summer. The nice thing is you can do it from your home, so you don't have to worry about driving or gas money or COVID exposure. You can phone bank from your couch. Again, any questions, please ask me. I've personally worked with the Rollins and Halsted Insurance campaigns. They have all been absolutely wonderful, and we can always use more help. Thank you for coming today.
This is the hope of the future.
Yeah.
Amen. Okay, I'm going to just read a couple of things. We're here to commemorate the loss of precious lives and shattered futures. What we offer is our sadness, but also our outrage. Rather than stand by silently with thoughts and prayers, we have showed up to speak out against the senseless, never-ending violence in this country. Today, I found out there are more laws to protect us from lettuce than from guns. The number of federal laws that address the possession of an assault weapon is 0. So it's not hard to beat lettuce. Many politicians have chosen to value their careers over the lives of people, even if that includes young children. I assume most of you have seen the teal lawn chairs that are on Highway 243. They appeared because a local woman chose to direct her grief into an act of purpose. Her first impulse was to send flowers to the families in Uvalde that lost loved ones. Uvalde officials told her too many of the children were still not identified. Then her sister sent her a photo of a makeshift memorial in another town. With the help of Mayor Max's staff, she collected and set up 19 plastic chairs near the highway into town. At first there were a few flags and a handwritten sign that acknowledged the purpose of her display. Today, most of the chairs have a book, a rock, or flowers on them. Today we march past her memorial and honor both the lost lives and the courage and effort she took to remind us how important it is to do something rather than stay silent. And now we're all going to have an opportunity to do that something. Stella and Aubrey will be passing out index cards that have strings attached to them. There's plenty of places these cards can go on those teal chairs. If you think, well, I can't think of anything to say, but I know all of you do have something to say, whether it's a thought, a feeling, anything. Put it on a chair, please, because that's how we're going to get more people to come out and participate and, outnumber the politicians that have chosen guns over the lives and happiness of the people they represent. So anyway, Stolen, well, we can do that's a bigger sign. All right, yes, and you can make a bigger sign if you want to. So I'm giving these 2 envelopes to Stella and Aubrey. They'll pass them around. They're pens, but if you have one, that'd be great. And we're going to have 3 speakers. We'll start with Myra Dutton, a renowned poet in residence. She will be followed by Aubrey, our young representative. Aubrey Teacher. And then it will be followed by Maureen McElliott. And then Stacey will come back up and give us the ground rules so that we all stay safe. All right, Myra, you're on.
Thank you.
I'm so okay. I'm so glad to see so many people who care enough to be here. When I was asked to read, I agreed because I am a mother and a grandmother, and my precious grandson, Miles, is in 4th grade, the same age as the children who were gunned down in Uvalde, Texas, by an 18-year-old gunman dressed in body armor and brandishing 2 AR-15s. The spineless, heartless Uvalde police, who had AR-15s of their own, couldn't muster enough courage to save the lives of these 9 to 10-year-olds who were crying and calling for help from their classrooms. Because of their lack of bravery, an entire classroom was gunned down, the books of their lives thrown into the fire, their individual stories turned into ashes. The children and the teachers bled out on the floor without anyone to hold them while they witnessed their classmates have assault rifles rip off their heads, tear out the lungs from their bodies, and turn them into shreds of flesh. The police stood back, while mothers begged them to go in, or at least give them body armor or bulletproof vests so they could get into the school and save their children. The fathers were handcuffed, tased, and tackled to the ground instead. How can we atone for the abhorrent disregard for human life from people who say that shooting guns is a God-given right, more important than the lives of children who are our gifts from God? When women run for political office screaming slogans like Jesus, guns, babies, spreading right-wing paranoia, isn't it clear that our society is broken? How can the righteous sleep at night? Don't they know in their hearts that the need to kill is something we need to stop? The Second Amendment, written in 1791, says the federal militia has the right to bear arms, but it is not specific about what arms are. Back then it was musket guns that had to be reloaded with gunpowder horns, nothing at all similar to an AR-15 that can shred a human body in seconds. It is time to bring this discussion into the 21st century. Shouldn't the right to have our arms attached to our bodies override the right to bear arms?
Yeah.
If it is illegal to possess grenade launchers, flamethrowers, and tactical nuclear devices, why aren't we drawing the line with assault rifles, which are weapons of war? Republicans say mass shootings are the price for freedom. But wordplay doesn't change the fact that assault rifles have become a national disgrace, a disease, and those brandishing AR-15s are cowards and have crossed the line. What America needs are sensible gun laws. Increase the age requirement to buy a gun from 18 to 21. Require background checks, red flags, and no AR-15s for people who are not part of the federal militia. We need to adopt a Human Rights Act which states that the government must take appropriate measures to safeguard life by making laws to protect us, particularly if our lives are at risk. Plus, the state must stop people from using hate speech, which, as we have seen, endangers our lives. The free world does that, but not America. Call your senators and representatives. Donate to David Hogg's March for Our Lives. Promote life, not death, wherever you are, in whatever ways you can. Protect the children, not guns. We must stop being intimidated by cowards. This isn't a war of semantics. This is a war of survival.
I think we can all agree that that was beautifully written. Can we just please, one more applause for her? That was so beautiful. Okay. So, hello fellow activists. Today I'm going to be reading a poem titled 12 p.m. It's a narrative poem, and I hope you enjoy. The clock hits 12 p.m. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. Why does a minute feel like an hour in class, but an hour feels like seconds in settings such as bird watching with dad, a date with Max, stewing with mom? I look over at Max's seat where he usually sits. He's always at school. Then I see a note left on my table. It's from Beatrice. Look at Robert. Robert is at the back of the class, drooling in his seat with his head back. Before I look away, I notice a pencil up his nose. Laughter pours out of me until Mrs. Gray blocks my view. August, please try to focus. She gives me a half smile, shakes her head, then steps over back to the whiteboard. I try to focus on the whiteboard, filled with jumbled equations. But all I can think about is my date with Max. I hope he's still coming, since we're going to our favorite spot in town, the community park that is hidden behind tall shrubs. Sitting with him, feeling the breeze exchange between our hair, looking into his bright blue ocean eyes, noticing how his lips curl when he smiles, pulling at the grass as we tell each other what we want our future to look like. Suddenly, a slam of a door down the hall brings my daydreaming to a pause. Robert jerks his head up. The class is completely silent. My teacher, who usually has her shoulders pulled back strong, looks hesitantly towards the window that faces the hallway. When she approaches the door, we hear a shot ring out. The class gasps, and Beatrice, who always has a smile on her face, has a blank canvas covering it. Mrs. Gray nervously shakes and turns to the class. Kids, quickly and quietly, please go under your desks. Everyone rushes under their desks and curls their head into their knees. Mrs. Gray hides under her desk and calls 911, and the class is completely silent. 911, there is a shooter at Clearview Hut. A bullet breaks through the window, and one of my classmates screams. Their friend covers their mouth with a trembling hand. 3 more shots, and the window shatters to the tile. The person goes through the window and makes their way around the classroom, staring down at all of us. I peek hesitantly through my fingers and notice something. The person has big brown hair, pale skin, and bright blue eyes. I felt my stomach drop and became overwhelmed with nausea. It was Max. I know Beatrice knew too because she had the same expression as I. My racing thoughts halt as I see Max point the gun at the first row of students. He immediately blazes through the first row of students and the class screams. Beatrice was one of those 6 students. She flattened on the ground motionless. I look away because her lifeless eyes were set on me. I begin to choke on my tears. Mrs. Gray runs towards Max and makes an attempt to pull the gun from him, only to be shot in the chest 5 times. Max sits there shaking like the rest of the class. Seconds later, 4 policemen barge into the room, and I know what's next. Max falls to the ground.
All of us stay silent for a few seconds. I make a quick glance at the clock once more. 12:10. 6 students were killed in a matter of seconds, and along with my teacher, in a matter of seconds. Many children's lives were taken, and even more children were scared from the horrific incident. And that's the end of the poem, and this is kind of my message to the poem. In this fictional narrative, Max, the 15-year-old boy, obtained an AR-15 from his father's closet. Even though this story is fictional, it is very much realistic. August claims to have never seen aggression from Max during their 2-year relationship. Although Max's therapist let authorities know after the incident that he did have borderline personality disorder. Even with the treatment he was receiving, this incident still occurred. Maybe if his father didn't own the gun in the first place and have it in an area so easy for Max to find, Max may have not committed the mass shooting. Although we have noticed that these children get guns very easily in other ways, such as a birthday gift, simply having parental consent, and many other ways. Mentally unstable children may resort to using their weapon to take out their emotions. But overall, what I want to say from this narrative is that I want you as the audience to be drawn into a school shooting type of setting, because I think that even though we hear the stories of the horrific events, we never really know what it's like to live in that. So I hope that me having the first person narrative from the viewpoint of August, that you kind of have a better idea, have a better, like as I was writing it, I felt deep into my heart, I felt as if this happened to me. So I hope that does the same for you. Not that I want you guys to feel sad, but I do think poetry specifically is also very necessary, not only speeches, but poetry, because it really does evoke emotions, and that's what we need. The facts are important, and everything else is important, but poetry and art are necessities for activism. Thank you.